Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and I'm located in what might be called the heart of any drag strip, the Race Control Center, or Tower. And this one here at Indianapolis Raceway Park is getting ready to supervise an exciting new program developed by the National Hot Rod Association, the Big Bud Shootout. This is an all-out, go-for-it race between 8 of the fastest funny cars in the world, and each of the drivers will be trying to have his name placed on that check for $25,000 that goes to the winner. To find out how these 8 got here today, let's join a man that knows almost everything about championship drag racing, Steve Evans.
Thank you, Dave. The 8 drivers that have attracted this huge crowd here today have been competing for this privilege all season long. At the past 9 NHRA National Championship events, a careful record has been kept as to how all funny cars qualified. At the end of qualifying, the drivers receive points depending on how they performed. For example, in a 16-car field, the low ET, number 1 qualifier, received 175 points. The slowest car in the field, number 16, received 85 points. After the recent North Star Nationals, the points were tallied, and the top 8 drivers were rewarded with a chance to make $25,000 for a single afternoon's work. Well, so much about how the drivers got here. Now let's learn more about the machines they'll be competing in today. And to handle that chore, a fellow who knows, well, maybe even a little bit more than I do about this sport. He's a 2-time funny car national champion, Kenny Bernstein.
Thank you, Steve, and you're absolutely correct. These are outstanding race cars. They are certainly very much crowd pleasers, as they are very pretty, they're wild, they go fast and make noise. One of the reasons many of us enjoy driving them is because they go so fast, many times 250 miles an hour in the quarter mile. And they get there with this baby, a 2,000 horsepower nitro-burning fuel motor that with the right chassis, clutch, and fuel mixture can give you the thrill of your life in 5 seconds. So this is the funny car, a complex and sophisticated machine, and you're going to see 8 of the best in the world today. It's simply going to be phenomenal. Dave?
Thank you, Kenny, and here's where they'll be racing, Indianapolis Raceway Park. Using the standard NHRA Eliminator ladder for an 8-car field, let's take a look at the pairings. The number 4 qualifier, Tommy Anderson, goes off against number 8, Dale Faldy. The number 3 qualifier, Frank Hawley, against number 7, Al Segrini. Number 2, that's Raymond Beadle in the Blue Max against Don Prudhomme, number 6. And the number 1 qualifier, Billy Meyer, against Gary Bergen, number 5. Ready for racing in the first round of the Big Bud Shootout at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We've got 8 of the finest 250-mile-an-hour funny cars in the world. In the near lane, Tommy Anderson doing his burnout. He'll be racing against Dale Faldy in round number 1 of this 8-car field.
Dale Pulte from Van Nuys, California, grew up in the streets racing cars, but now he's driving the War Eagle and will certainly be a favorite today. Tom Anderson from Macadon, New York, is excellent on the starting line, has super reactions.
Here's Tommy Anderson. He's completing his burnout, and he's continuing to roll down the racetrack. Looks like he's out of competition. Kenny, what's the matter?
Dave, I'm not sure, not being down there, but it's obvious the engine is still running, but he's not stopping. He probably has got a brake problem.
What a disappointment for Tommy Anderson. He's out of competition. Dale Pulte with an easy single in the first round of the Big Bud Shootout. Here's our next pair of cars. In the far lane, it's Al Segrini, while here in the near lane, it is Frank Hawley. This could be a close race. Steve had a chance to ask Frank Hawley about the 2 cars.
We've raced Al in 2 final rounds at the national events, and we beat him twice. They've both been pretty close races. At this race, he's run a 91 and a 92. We've run an 88 and a 93. That sounds about an even draw to me. I'm just going to have to be sharp on the starting line.
And that's where so many races are won, right here on the starting line of this quarter-mile racing surface. Both cars starting from a standing start, covering 1,320 feet. In the far lane, Al Segrini, Frank Hawley. He is confident, but he knows he's up against a tough competitor in Segrini. Both cars leave the starting line like rockets. rockets. Frank Hawley has a bit of a lead early in the race, and at the finish line by a car length, Frank Hawley wins it, an outstanding 5.89 second elapsed time. And I think Al Segrini really hurt an engine on this run. Here you see Frank Hawley with about a car length lead at that point, and that's all he gets through the quarter mile, as Al Segrini right with him, but at the finish line, Al Segrini just fries an engine.
Climbing out of the car, getting his helmet off, the winner of the first ever side-by-side 5-second funny car race, and one step closer to $25,000, Frank Hawley.
Thank you very much. Boy, I saw him for a little bit, and then drove around him, and it seemed about 300-400 feet, and I never saw him after that.
He appeared to have a slight edge off the line.
He has every time we've raced him, so that's nothing new.
All right, you'll get ready for the second round. Who do you want to race there?
I don't even know who we race. I have this superstition about worrying who we run, and all I was worried about right then was Al, and I'm sure NHRA or someone knows who we're supposed to race, and we'll be there.
Okay, Frank Hawley, one step closer to the big payoff.
Thank you, Steve. Frank moving away from the... Oh, he's going over to shake hands with Al Segrini. Well, I'll tell you, whatever Al Segrini and Bill Schultz tried, it didn't work. Our next two funny car drivers have a total of 7 world championships between them. In the near lane, Raymond Beadle with 3, and in the far lane, Don Prudhomme has 4.
Don Prudhomme from Granada Hills, California is the winningest funny car driver in the history of racing. And from my home state of Texas, Raymond Beadle and the fabulous Blue Max. And boy, I hope he has Texas power.
Well, Kenny, the two of them represent one of the longest-standing rivalries in the history of the sport. Steve talked to both of them.
You know, Snake's always our toughest competitor day in and day out. I mean, sometimes we're really hot like we've been early in the year. Later on in the year, we've fallen off a little bit with our low qualifying. He's come on strong here lately, so, I mean, everything comes in cycles. You're not always up and you're not always down.
To tell you the truth, we're going to try and take it easy as we can. We don't know how we're really set for this race. We're just a little bit of a loss right now. The car's running terribly good, but also it's using up parts. We have another good motor in it. We've changed some things on it. If it lives, it'll run the distance.
Of course, that's the thought on both racers' minds at the moment. If it lives, if the parts breakage problem does not enter into it, this can be a great race. And Don Prudhomme just streaks away from Raymond Beadle off the starting line. And at the finish, there's some smoke out of the headers. He may have heard it 5.97 seconds. His speed only 203 miles an hour. Our next pair of cars already started. It's Gary Bergen against the number 1 qualifier, Billy Meyer from Waco, Texas. Steve is in the turnaround area and is caught up with Don Prudhomme. Let's find out his reaction to what may have been a costly run.
Don Prudhomme removing the special breather helmet. He has survived round 1 here of this $25,000 war. Snake, a little smoke in the lights, but still a 5-second elapsed time.
So I think the rods are still in it. That's the main thing. We can fix the rest.
All right, pistons are easy. It's when you start breaking the bottom end, right?
Yeah, no problem. I think it'll run a lot better next round.
Okay, Beadle always tough.
Yeah, sure he's tough, but, in this Bud Shootout, anybody that's in it's tough. And, of course, Raymond's a good racer.
Did you soften it up a little bit, take some horsepower out?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we've been destroying parts. We just backed it up and figured that 80 or 90 would do it, and we better put a little more in it now.
You bet.
The 90 that Don Prudhomme refers to is the 5.97 elapsed time that it took him to defeat Raymond Beadle, the Blue Max. Our final pair of cars in the first round of competition, number 1 qualifier, Billy Meyer, against this car, Gary Bergen.
Gary Bergen from Stanton, California, can be considered the underdog in this race, but usually plays a role as a spoiler. And Billy Meyer, yet another Texan, drives a super fast 250-mile-an-hour rocket.
A tremendous challenge by Gary Bergen as he pulls a lead over Billy Meyer. And Gary Bergen, the upset winner over the number 1 qualifier, Billy Meyer. That big win earns him a semifinal berth against Frank Hawley, while Don Prudhomme will be racing Dale Baldy. 4 cars remain. And it is Hawley against Bergen, and it is as close as you can imagine. But look at Hawley pull it out at the finish line. His elapsed time only 6 seconds flat. Maybe something went wrong with Bergen's car. Let's watch again as they near the timing traps at the end of the strip. And it is Bergen with the lead, but there you see the puff of smoke indicating maybe something went wrong.
All right, now, 6 flat, that's probably not going to win this. You're already on the payroll, but there's a big discrepancy between 25,000 and 5,000 runner-up.
Yeah, well, the race isn't over yet. Did we get runner-up? We still got a chance of winning this deal.
Oh, I know you do.
Yeah, and, the 6 flat, a lot of things can happen between now and the final. Good race.
All right, Gary Bergen over here to talk to Ollie. Gary, just a moment if I could. A very good race. Frank didn't even know he won.
Yeah, I blew the clutch out of it. About 1,000 foot, he just died.
Just died right there on you. So Gary Bergen, very, very disappointed because going out this round, he did not get on the payroll as Holly will.
Mechanical problems putting Bergen on the trailer for the day. 2 cars remain in the Big Bud Shootout semifinal round. It is Dale Poldy in the far lane, Don Prudhomme in the near lane. The winner of this race will earn the right to go against Frank Hawley in the final, aiming for that $25,000 payoff. A lot of work goes on these cars between rounds of racing. And back in Dale Poldy's pit before this race, you see the motor being disassembled. Steve was there watching the action.
Dale Poldy, you got a second? Motor okay?
No, it's a little worse for wear. When it left the starting line, it shook real hard, and it broke a fuel line nozzle off in the engine and burned it to the ground.
Well, it's a good thing you got a gift round one.
Yeah, because he would have blown me away.
There's a guy across the way over here, some people call him the Snake. He says you better step on this.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough room to step on it if he runs one of those 563s on me.
The 563 referred to by Dale Poldy is the elapsed time recorded yesterday by Don Prudhomme. That is the quickest elapsed time in the history of drag racing for one of these fiberglass-bodied funny cars. In the far lane, Dale Poldy. In the near lane, Don Prudhomme. And boy, Prudhomme is glued to the ground. Poldy having problems, but Prudhomme, look at the elapsed time, 5.82 seconds. He'll have lane choice going into the final of the Big Bud Shootout against Frank Hawley. Remember, the winner takes home $25,000 in cash. And we're set for the final showdown in the Big Bud Shootout. The rising superstar in funny car racing, Frank Hawley, driving the Chi-Town Hustler against the crafty, cagey veteran, Don the Snake Prudhomme, the 4-time world champion. Frank Hawley against Prudhomme in the Big Bud Shootout. Frank Hawley building a lead right off the starting line, and he holds on to it. Frank Hawley wins $25,000 and a elapsed time of 5.85 seconds.
We can hear the crowd screaming, and soon we're going to see what a $25,000 smile looks like on the face of Frank Hawley of London, Ontario, Canada, driving the Midwest favorite funny car, the Chi-Town Hustler, and there it is. Congratulations.
Thank you, Steve.
What a car race. You outran the Snake, an 85 to a 92.
We thought we could do it. I mean, it slowed down the last round because we had to change ahead. We put it back and said, well, we'll let it burn this time.
How's it feel to be part of the richest ever side-by-side drag race?
Outstanding.
Times between the two nitro-burning classes continues to narrow as Don Prudhomme proved in funny car qualifying with an all-time best of 5.63 seconds. If he had been racing in top fuel, Prudhomme would have qualified number 4. At the beginning of today's competition, no one has forgotten Prudhomme's performance, especially Kenny Bernstein. He was matched against Prudhomme on the record-shattering run, recording a respectable 5.90 seconds himself, while Prudhomme logged a 5.63.
Coming into the U.S. Nationals, people were talking about maybe a potential of a 5.70 with the funny car, but a 5.63. They had to check 5 different clocks to make sure it was right.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. You know, it's hard. If I was back home and I heard this was going on here, I wouldn't believe it. But I'm driving the car, and I'm here to tell you the car's doing it. It's an incredible racetrack. It always has been here, and you know, it ran a 73 and come back with a 63.
Dale Poldy had the dubious distinction of trying to stop Prudhomme in round number 1, and he lost traction going up in smoke and crossed the center line right at the start. Prudhomme marched into round number 2. The reigning world champion Raymond Beadle in his Blue Max funny car was handed the surprise of the Nationals, a first-round defeat at the hands of Ken Veeney. Formerly an alcohol fuel competitor, Veeney made the switch to nitromethane mid-season and has been steadily improving ever since.
Ken Veeney, only his 13th ride ever in a nitro funny car, the innovator in the alcohol ranks, makes the smoothest transition to nitro we have ever seen and defeats the Blue Max.
I'm on it. I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, I just don't know what to say.
578, 252.
All I need is I need a sponsor. That's all I can say. I need help.
At Indianapolis Raceway Park in the 28th Annual U.S. Nationals, I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans, and we're getting set for round number 2 in Funny Car Eliminator. But one man has got a lot of work ahead of him. That is the race car of Tom McEwen that is scattered all over his pit area. Tom, in his first round race, exploded an engine, and that has created the stripping of this car down to the bare chassis, as a lot of his friends have gathered around to help Tom get ready for his race against Don the Snake Prudhomme. In the first round, as we look at it again, it is McEwen against Frank Hawley. Hawley is here in the near lane, McEwen in the far lane. Up in smoke goes Hawley, the advantage to McEwen. The car travels down the racetrack and then explodes in a ball of fire at the finish line. Steve has had a chance to talk to Tom and ask him how is he getting ready for this race with Don Prudhomme.
It'll be good. We race every weekend, and he's a tough man to beat. So we got a lot of help, and Lombardo loaned us a supercharger, and Roland's crew is over here helping us, and we're putting another motor in the car and fixing the windshield and everything. So we're trying to get back so we can go up and do battle with the snake. So we'll see.
Okay, good luck.
Tom McEwen, lots of work ahead of him before he races Don Prudhomme. Billy Meyer, one of the 2 Texans involved in this race. He is going against Kenny Bernstein. Meyer, hailing from Waco, Texas, started his driving career at the tender age of 16 in a funny car. He's the number 3 qualifier here at the U.S. Nationals. For Kenny Bernstein, now of Dallas, Texas, qualified in the number 7 spot at a 5.90.
All right, how does Kenny Bernstein approach racing the fastest funny car in the world, Billy Meyer?
Fearful, very much so. Well, obviously, he'll run good. He ran 88, 588 in the first round, and we're a 93. He's got a lane choice. Fastest car in the world. He's tough.
We'll find out how tough Billy Meyer is against Kenny Bernstein. 2 very evenly matched cars. Not a whole lot separating them on the basis of their performance thus far. And they're a great race off the starting line. It looks like Bernstein has a bit of a lead. And then that top-end horsepower from Billy Meyer. 5.84 seconds elapsed time. His speed, 251 miles an hour. And when we call it close, Kenny Bernstein just a heartbeat behind at a 5.95 seconds. The next car is a team car of Kenny Bernstein, this time driven by Tom Anderson. He is racing a former champion here, Gary Bergen, the Orange Baron, out of Stanton, California. Steve is with Billy.
Well, Billy Meyer, you said you were striving for consistency. You've got it. Another climb in the 580s and a big speed over 250, which will back up a new record.
That's good. I don't know if I was a little bit late or not. Do you know?
Just a fraction.
I saw him very much. I remember we shifted. We moved back and forth in about 600 feet with our top-end charge. It helped quite a bit. So.
Billy Meyer reflecting the pressure that builds here at the U.S. Nationals. Here is the team car of Kenny Bernstein, this one driven by Tom Anderson. Anderson qualified number 2, a sterling 5.79 seconds, one of the all-time quickest times ever for a funny car. For Gary Bergen, he qualified number 6 at a 5.88 seconds. This is round number 2 of racing. The winner of this pair will advance into the semifinals, and they're both up in smoke off the starting line. Tommy Anderson looks to be out of control, and Gary Bergen recovers to win the race. 6.56 seconds at 239 miles an hour. But this is one of those cases where who cares how quick you go or how fast, all you're interested in is getting to the finish line first. You can see Anderson in the Kenny Bernstein team car going out of control. Gary Bergen keeps his car pointed in a straight line, and he heads right down to the end of the quarter mile and takes the win.
Well, we talk about drivers' races. You just saw one. The driver that recovered first as they both smoked the tires was victorious, and that's Gary Bergen. Good driving, Gary.
Thank you, Steve.
He smoked the tires just about the same time you did.
I saw that, and then I stepped back on the throttle and got around him, and they just got to the finish line first.
Well, both of you did everything possible to win that one.
Yeah, we sure did. This is a big race to win.
Oh, yeah. Gary Bergen won it once a long time ago.
Steve, it was way back in 1976 that Gary Bergen was the funny car champ at the U.S. Nationals, but all eyes are on the starting line as the sleek fiberglass body is lowered down over Ken Vini's car, the man they call the Innovator.
You build so much of your own stuff. What on this car have you manufactured?
Well, I make the heads and rocker arm assemblies and valve covers, manifolds. Oh, let's see. I didn't build a blower on this one, but
you could.
I'd have.
Your motto is, if you can't afford it, build it, huh?
That's what I've had to do so far. I think you try a little harder when you don't have very much money. Maybe that's what it's all about.
If Ken Vini tries much harder, he may leave all of his competition clear back on the eastern seaboard as he has blistered this asphalt here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. His mid-season switch to nitro has left them all shaking their heads. Here in round number 2, Ken Vini is going against this man, the number 8 qualifier, Al Segrini, who came into the program with a 5.91 second elapsed time. The burnouts are completed for both cars. Concentration now on the electronic starting device, the Christmas tree. Al Segrini and Ken Vini. Segrini falling behind at the start, and look at Ken Vini across the finish line. The quickest time, he ties the national record of Don Prudhomme at 5.73 seconds and sets a new national speed record at over 254 miles an hour. Tom McEwen has got his car back together. He is matched up against Don Prudhomme here in the second round of racing. Right now, let's go to Steve.
There's a good possibility that you, Ken Vini, in this fairy tale effort today, have just set both ends of the National Funny Car record. They're looking at the backup, doing the math right now. Fantastic.
Fantastic. I don't know what to say.
573. 254.
And no nitrous oxide. That's all
you don't need the Red Rocket doesn't need it.
I don't know what to say. I can't say anything. I'm just dumbfounded.
Well, you're now the man to beat. You've got lane choice. Everybody's talking Ken Vini all the way.
Hey, thank you. I can't say anything.
Tom McEwen, after replacing all the parts in his car, is back running. Don Prudhomme, the quickest man ever in a funny car, has also known the parts breakage problems this weekend. Steve asked him about it.
So the engine in the car is the last bullet you have?
Yeah, we have enough parts, I think, to keep going. But, you know, the competition out here is really tough, too. You know, we set some new records, and but it was costly.
But you go from 580s to 560s. You just find the next weak link?
That's exactly right. You know, it's you pick up an extra tenth of a second and a few miles an hour, and all of a sudden the wrist pins on the engine isn't strong enough, and you destroy $10,000 worth of parts. But we proved that these funny cars can run darn near with the top field dragsters. You know, a 563. It's incredible.
It's hard to even say, isn't it?
It is.
The evolution of drag racing, a costly one for Don Prudhomme, but he has got the record at a 573. He has run as quick as a 563. This a rematch of the finals of the U.S. Nationals 1978. Then it was Tom McEwen winning. This time it is Don Prudhomme. And look at the times, 5.77 seconds, only 218 miles an hour as Don Prudhomme moves into the semifinals to race Billy Meyer. Ken Vini against Gary Bergen. Back at the U.S. Nationals, we've just seen Don Prudhomme win his race to move into the semifinals, but the big story in funny car has been the performance of Ken Vini.
We'll talk about incredible. He may have taken your record away from you on that last game.
That's what I understand. Yeah, he's really running good, isn't he?
Hard to believe.
Yeah, you never know. We'll see.
Okay.
Funny car eliminator, Don Prudhomme, nodding to his crewman. Sitting right in front of Don Prudhomme is 2,500 horsepower of nitro-burning Hemi engine. It's supercharged. It is fuel injected. The crewman turning on the fire extinguisher bottles and then lowering the fiberglass body down over Don Prudhomme. Here, the first race in the semifinal round of Funny Car Eliminator, the quickest funny car in the world, Don Prudhomme in the near lane. In the far lane, one of the fastest ever, Billy Meyer. And this has got to be on both their minds. Steve had a chance to talk in the pits with Billy.
The world's fastest funny car, you, Billy Meyer, versus the world's quickest funny car, him, Don Prudhomme. What do you think?
I think he's going to be out in front of me somewhere because he's running so quick, and he's not running any mile an hour.
Shutting off early, you think?
It's shutting itself off, I think, but right now that didn't matter. So at some point in time, I think I'm going to be chasing him down to the other end. Hope I get there before he does.
Don Prudhomme, having recorded a 577 in the previous round, has got to be favored over this man, Billy Meyer. But every time Don Prudhomme seems to run quick, he hurts parts. He's beginning to whittle down his supply of aluminum engines, and they leave almost together. A great leave by Prudhomme, a little bit of flicker of flame, and Billy Meyer wins the race, coming from behind, just as he predicted, a 594 at over 252 miles an hour. Prudhomme builds the lead in the middle of the course. There you saw just a little flash of flame indicating possible some engine damage. The parachute out, that may have slowed him somewhat, but Billy Meyer wins the race over Don Prudhomme.
Well, Billy Meyer, it still takes a driver in one of these cars. Your starting line prowess paid off that time.
Yeah, I feel like I won the race.
You did win the race.
Yeah, I mean the whole damn race. Oh, man. I appreciate it.
This business is hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, how about that? It's gets kind of emotional after 7 days of this stuff. What
slowed down at 594.
Oh, did we really? What mile an hour?
I don't know.
I tell you, it was just what I talked to you about before. This little deal right here. He got out about a car out on me about 400 or 500 foot, and I said, "Please, bull, please." I guess he did.
Our last two cars in the semifinal round, Ken Veeney against Gary Bergen. We had a chance to ask Ken Veeney why, when he was at the top of the alcohol game, did he switch to nitro?
I always wanted to do it, and I just figured sometime I was going to do it before I quit, and I didn't really have the enthusiasm with the alcohol to really do good.
You'd done it all.
I just didn't feel like I had anything to do, and I was bored.
He got rid of his boredom in mid-season as Ken Veeney moved to nitromethane. He has run a 5.73 at this event. He has to be favored over this man, the Orange Baron, the 1976 Nationals champion, Gary Bergen from Stanton, California. Veeney from Wadsworth, Ohio. Searching for a sponsor, but showing everyone in nitro racing what it's all about, and he goes up in smoke. There goes Gary Bergen, and Ken Veeney cannot catch him. Gary Bergen into the finals, 5.93 seconds. He takes the lane choice over Billy Meyer as they move into the finals, and Ken Veeney up in smoke. Gary Bergen, a happy man.
Gary Bergen, you won this race, back in 76, and this is your first final round appearance here since. You have lane choice with a 5.93 over Billy Meyer.
I'm glad. I mean, we wanted to do this for a long time, Steve, and the year after we won in 1977, I felt like that we controlled the race and we had to shoot prematurely come out, and we lost it. We've been trying to be in the final ever since.
Well, here you go against Meyer. Can you go any quicker, or do you even take the chance of trying?
I think it'll probably run quicker. We're going to try, I think.
Okay, Gary Bergen goes back to the pits to get ready for the biggest race in drag racing.
And a bit of a switch. Gary Bergen moves over into the right-hand lane. He had lane choice. Throughout the day, the racer with the lower lapse time basically has taken the left-hand lane. He gave it to Billy Meyer. Will it make a difference? We'll find out in a few moments. Billy Meyer, way back in the early 70s when he was only 19 years old, was in the finals at the Nationals. He did not win that race. Gary Bergen, of course, a champion here back in 1976. As darkness falls, up in smoke goes Bergen. And there is the winner of Funny Car Eliminator, Billy Meyer. And he did not take it easy. He recorded an outstanding 5.91 second elapsed time at 247 miles an hour, one of his slower races of the day. And there's where Bergen lost the race. He smoked the tires, he lost traction. As in the gathering darkness, you see the flames of those nitro engines standing tall off the headers.
Last year, David, here at the Winston World Finals, we saw three of the most terrifying fires in drag racing history. First, it was Gary Densham to light up, flames literally surrounding the car and melting the fiberglass body. Then it was Texan Billy Meyer on fire at the finish line, the parachutes burning off the car, the fiberglass starting to melt around Billy Meyer. Then, four-time world champion Don the Snake Prudhomme, the most terrifying ride of his 20-year drag racing career. Hard to believe that all three of these men walked away from these fires and are competing here today in round one of Funny Car competition.
Not only are all three competing in the first round, but two of these racers, Billy Meyer and Don Prudhomme, are in the thick of the hunt for that Winston World Champion title here at the World Finals.
But they'll have to contend with Frank Hawley, who has the points lead. Here's round one action. This is the Chief Auto 711 car in the near lane with Trip Shoemaker, Phoenix, Arizona at the wheel.
And Tim Gross in the Datsun 280 ZX bodied car. Gross transplanted from California to Michigan and now back in California again. For Trip Shoemake, he is driving a team car. There's actually two of these cars, one driven by Billy Meyer, the other by Trip Shoemake.
Trip Shoemake in the Ford EXP bodied car that is actually Billy Meyer's new car for '83. Meyer is using Trip Shoemake as a blocker here, hoping that Trip can get to Frank Hawley and Don Prudhomme early in the going.
And if so, that will allow Billy Meyer to move into that Winston World Champion title. It gets rather complex because there are 4 drivers who are capable of winning it at this event.
Trip Shoemake here in the tower lane, and Trip Shoemake is away first. Trip Shoemake with far more power than that of the Datsun car of Tim Gross. It is Trip Shoemake getting there at a beautiful 583, 232 miles an hour. So the little Retta driver from Phoenix, Arizona, so far doing the job he was hired to do by Billy Meyer.
And that is winning the race and advancing into the next round. Eventually, he will have to match up against one of those drivers that is in the chase for the Winston World Champion title.
Beautiful funny car here in the near lane as the 82 Camaro body goes down over the chassis of Bruce Iverson. Iverson's from Southern California. He is up against Salt Lake City's Garth Whittison, and both of these are really kind of unknown quantities. They seldom really qualify for national event competition. Look at this beautiful Camaro, David.
This low-slung car surprised everybody by running in the 5-second bracket in qualifying and moved up into the upper half of the field. In other words, cars 1 through 8, and shuffled the field around a little bit right at the very end of qualifying, and that surprised everybody.
The funny cars accomplishing their tires smoking, ground, pound, and burnouts. One thing that has made them so popular with fans all over the country. They use essentially the same kind of nitro-burning engine as we saw in Top Fuel, except here the engine is in front of the driver. They're a much shorter wheelbase, plus they have the fiberglass replica bodies draped over the sophisticated chassis. You're looking at $60,000, $70,000 worth of rolling drag racing stock here.
Garth Whittison driving the Battlestar car. There can't be that many funny cars in the state of Utah, Steve.
I believe he's the only competitive one, David.
Well, he is very competitive because he just left Bruce Iverson sitting in the blower. Comes apart. Something comes off of the car of Bruce Iverson, and Garth Whittison wins the race. Whittison coming in with an elapsed time of 6:43. Not competitive by any stretch of the imagination.
Here is the car that has the lead for the World Championship. The Chi-Town Hustler. Frank Hawley for Pat Minnick out of Chicago, Illinois. Garth Whittison being pushed off the racetrack down at the far end. But Frank Hawley, who has won, 3 national events so far this year?
He'll be racing against Al Segrini. Segrini, winner of the Winter Nationals, the first race of the year, has got his work cut out for him because Frank Hawley has been on a roll all season long. Everybody said this is basically an exhibition car. They can't make it through a whole series and season of competitive racing, but look at this.
Yeah, everybody said they don't have enough money, enough parts. Al Segrini, now that's one of those $250,000 18-wheelers. Segrini over in the far lane. The Chi-Town car has an old ramp-back truck with about 500,000 miles on it, but the young Canadian driver, Frank Hawley, has done a tremendous job. Austin Coyle setting his driver here in the near lane. They feel they've won the World Championship, but they're just not counting their chickens quite yet.
He pulls away from Al Segrini. Frank Hawley increases his lead in the middle of the course. Segrini's engine goes away, and Frank Hawley wins it.
At 5.93 seconds, 241 miles an hour, Frank Hawley picks up some badly needed points to hold off Billy Meyer and the Snake.
The eliminations in a drag racing program are in single elimination style like a basketball tournament. If you win, you advance to the next round. And here's the man everybody's been waiting to see, the quickest funny car in the history of drag racing, Don the Snake Prudhomme in the near lane.
Earlier in our telecast, you saw the Snake melt the Pepsi Challenger from last year. Here is Frank Hawley coming out of the car. He was very nervous young man going into round 1. Now maybe some of those butterflies will go away as the helmet of the mask comes off.
Our Diamond B camera is right on top of the action for Don Prudhomme. He had the most incredible time of his life at Indianapolis at the U.S. Nationals with a 5:63 elapsed time. He is racing the Pisano car. Joe Pisano is the car owner. Craig Epperly, the driver here at the World Finals out of Downey. And look at Prudhomme go.
Oh, Prudhomme is laying one down as getting very close to the rail was Craig Epperly. It is Don Prudhomme at a 6.03, 241 miles an hour. Prudhomme picks up another 200 valuable Winston points. He's still got a backdoor shot at this world title.
And for Prudhomme, I'm sure he's not going to be happy with the performance. The car left the starting line very well, but it certainly didn't perform in the middle of the course as he expected it to do.
This is Raymond Beadle, who at the close of this event will have to scrape that number 1 off the side of his famous Blue Max and give it to somebody else, either Hawley, Billy Meyer, or Prudhomme. He's up against Gary Bergen, who was in the final round for the event title here a year ago when Big Jim Dunn won that event. Now, Raymond Beadle, the 3-time national champion, is not going to make it 4 in the English Leather Ford EXP. Had a lot of problems. He flipped the car early in the year, then burned one to the ground, and they never quite caught up again.
Raymond coming back into the performance style, though, that he has been accustomed to in the last couple of races and has moved very well in qualifying here at the World Finals. For Gary Bergen, he was a finalist at the U.S. Nationals in the finals and, in fact, won that event a few years ago and would love to shut down Raymond Beadle right now. Boy, this is a close race. At the finish line, it is the Blue Max of Raymond Beadle winning it with a 6.05 second elapsed time. Bergen's losing time, a 6:11.
Both of them at about 238 miles an hour. Actually, Bergen at 237. So Bergen was in that one all the way against the Blue Max.
But for Raymond Beadle, a chance to move up another round and possibly take home the event title here at Orange County International Raceway.
As we continue with round 1 of funny car action, here's a man that's got them all shaking their heads. David, this is Ken Vini of Wadsworth, Ohio. His first year of nitro funny car racing. After many years with an alcohol car, he has set the national speed record at 254 miles an hour. He'll be up against the black car in the far lane, Little John Lombardo, who's a terror here all summer long at OCIR.
Out of North Hollywood, California, Lombardo is one of those 5-second funny cars that doesn't travel a whole lot. He stays around home, and there's some problems on the starting line. Look at this. They're backing Ken Vini up. They're checking something, and he says, okay, bring it up and stage again. That's Starter Buster Couch directing the action. The starting system itself, electronically controlled and operated. All the starter does is throw a switch. A great lead for Lombardo, but boy, look at the horsepower of Ken Vini as he just blows by Little John to a 6:08 elapsed time, 238 miles an hour.
Little John Lombardo at a 6:41. It's a good thing Vini had all that power because he was very late up the starting line. He's only made 15 runs in a nitro-burning funny car. Not quite comfortable yet.
Certainly the talk of the nitro-burning contingent is Ken Vini, and I know some of the other racers are starting to run Ken Vini components and complete engines.
Back at the starting line. As funny car competition continues, this is Billy Meyer. We saw his teammate earlier, Trip Shoemake, survive round 1. Meyer can only hope that he will do the same. As Frank Hawley is still in the program. Billy Meyer trying to drive around Hawley in the point standings with this, the Pontiac-bodied 711 Chief Auto car. Meyer from Waco, Texas, started funny car racing at 16.
Our defending champion here at the Winston World Finals, this is Big Jim Dunn out of Long Beach, California, a fireman, as noted on the West Coast for driving practically anything. The only man ever to win a national event driving a rear-engine funny car. That came years ago, and today I don't think it's going to be his day as Billy Meyer pulls ahead and wins it, defeating Jim Dunn in this first round of action with a 5:99 elapsed time.
And Big Jim Dunn, always there as he was this time, 6.05. Even though Dunn has very little to work with, he was still right there all the time. If Meyer made a mistake, he'd have got him.
Kenny Bernstein and our final pair of funny cars in the first round of action against the man you saw that burned it down a year ago, Gary Dencham. Here's Billy Meyer getting out of his car. He also still in the chase for that Winston World Championship title. Kenny Bernstein actually not in the hunt for the points championship, but he'd sure love to win the event title. Here's the teacher's pet car. He is a teacher, by the way. Teaches school, Gary Dencham.
And this was the driver we showed you earlier in the first one of those 3 fires. He back with a beautiful car. Now, Bernstein is on a roll right now. He won the Golden Gate Nationals just a few weeks ago in the San Francisco Bay Area after a ragged early season. Bernstein is back with tremendous performance.
Bernstein and Dencham, and look at Bernstein. He is not to be headed in any way in this race as Bernstein crosses the finish line first.
With low ET of eliminations at 5.93 seconds, 246 miles an hour, to Gary Dencham's very game 6:15, 233.
So that concludes our first round of racing in Funny Car Eliminator, and we still have those 4 competitors in the thick of it for the Winston World Champion title as Frank Hawley leads in the points. Billy Meyer doing his best to try to catch him. Of course, Don Prudhomme is still in the action, and they've got Trip Shoemake in as a blocker, put in the number 2 car by Billy Meyer. And in fact, here's Trip Shoemake.
Indeed it is. Shoemake here in the near lane. Just a couple of weeks ago, his phone rang in Phoenix, Arizona. It was Billy Meyer on the other end of the line saying, "Would you like to drive my car for 2 events?" He didn't hesitate. Trip Shoemake, a former Southern Nationals champion. Now opposite Shoemake, the consummate funny car racer, the 4-time world champion, Don the Snake Prudhomme, Granada Hills, California. Maybe the best-looking funny car ever built, the Pepsi Challenger Pontiac Firebird.
This car with a 563 to its credit at the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park has astounded everyone with its performance, but it has been inconsistent. He can run good, but he hurts the car. When he doesn't run so good, the car doesn't get hurt, but he sometimes gets beat. What can happen here? Trip Shoemake is trying to get him, and the engine explodes in Don Prudhomme's car. He's all over his lane, and Trip Shoemake comes home the winner and advances to the semifinals.
As Prudhomme was skating around in his own oil, it was Shoemake at a 6:48, 231 miles an hour. Fortunately for Prudhomme, that happened early on the course, or he could have had a repeat of last year's fire. Here, watch Prudhomme now in the right-hand lane. Probably a connecting rod broke. That's the only thing that will usually put that much oil instantaneously out on the racetrack. Prudhomme doing a very alert job of driving. A lesser driver might have spun that car or even made contact with the rail, David.
Trip Shoemake out of his car, taking off the protective fire gloves, his helmet, and his face mask. He's got to be happy. As Steve told you, it was just a couple of weeks ago he was in retirement. They weren't doing much of anything, and now he is out racing and has worked his way to the semifinals here at the Winston World Finals at Orange County International Raceway. I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans, and this is the man that is leading the points chase for the Winston World Championship.
You bet it is. It's Frank Hawley, and this is the man who has worn that number 1 for 3 consecutive years. Between he and Prudhomme, it's been 7 years since we've seen anybody else in the Winston winner's circle. Frank Hawley, a likable young guy from London, Ontario, Canada, drove in the alcohol ranks with his own car, actually pleaded and begged for a chance to drive in the big class. He got it. Raymond Beadle, the mustachio driver from Dallas, Texas. He is probably the best financed and maybe the hardest working of all the funny car drivers.
Well, he's got his work cut out for him as Frank Hawley is pulling a big lead. And Frank Hawley, by over a car length, defeats Raymond Beadle, and they continue their march to the Winston World Champion title. Frank Hawley, elapsed time 5:99, his speed over 238 miles an hour, as Billy Meyer showing the pressure, showing the intensity that goes through these drivers' minds as he gets ready to fire up for his next race. Steve takes a look at a comparison between Billy Meyer and Frank Hawley.
This is the funny car racing operation of Texan Billy Meyer, as impressive as you'll find in this sport. Not one race car, but 2, both carrying the logos of many sponsors, affiliated with actor Burt Reynolds and director Hal Needham. The cars are transported in a beautiful 18-wheeler worth at least $250,000. It is jammed to the rafters with spare parts and equipment. Meyer will oversee today a crew of 10 men. He'll make the decisions as to how to tune the engines, but they'll do the heavy work. Talk about your contrast. This is the racing operation of the Chi-Town Hustler team, Frank Hawley's car. An old 1965 truck with 500,000 miles on it. There's no room for many spare parts, but that doesn't matter because they couldn't afford them anyway. What these guys have is talent. Car owner Austin Coyle is as knowledgeable an engine builder and tuner as there is. Hawley, the young Canadian, is not only a fine driver, but is expected to get down on his back between rounds, oil dripping in his face, and service the bearings, the bottom end of the engine.
Billy Meyer, after his crew has put it all together, comes out of the water. He has got to defeat Ken Veeney in this round. Billy Meyer trying to catch Frank Hawley. He is the U.S. Nationals champion, the biggest win of his career for Ken Veeney at over 254 miles an hour, the national record holder, the talk of the sport. Veeney with problems out on the track, and it appears something they can't get it to back up. Steve?
David, apparently the reverser transmission has gone out in Veeney's car, and the rules require that you back these cars up under their own power. You can't just turn it around or you would cross the center line and be out. It's a fifth for Billy Meyer.
Oh, what a break for Billy. All he's got to do is keep it between the center line and the guardrails. Don't touch either one, and he did that with ease as Billy Meyer ran 6.09 on a single at over 238 miles an hour. He now moves into the semifinals. Boy, the pressure is on in this World Champion chase. The 2,500 horsepower engine of Kenny Bernstein shaking itself to life as crew chief Dale Armstrong turning on the nitrous oxide bottle. A lot of work goes into these cars, and to get two ready for the same round of racing has got to be tough. Steve?
Billy said he's not on a record pace. However, we saw last year when Gary Beck ran the quickest time in drag racing history. If it cools off here later today, maybe.
This track gets very, very good later in the evening as it cools down. Our biggest problem is our motor. We may have to swap motors with the other car. It seems to be running a lot better, but I needed them to mess up, and apparently they're not. So all I can thank is Tripp for taking out Perdomo, because that at least guaranteed a second so far. So now all we have to do is try to go up.
Right, Billy Meyer, who's got two cars to prepare for the semifinals.
We're into the last race of this quarterfinal round, and it is Garth Whittison out of Utah with the Battlestar car, and I don't think anybody expected to see him here against Kenny Bernstein, the recent winner of the Golden Gate Nationals.
I'll tell you what, Kenny Bernstein, David, as we look over the reaction times that are furnished to us by the NHRA officials, has been super sharp. This is Garth Whittison, the Battlestar. He may have to gamble with a red line here. He's about 2/10 off the pace.
This is Kenny Bernstein, and he's not taking any gamble. He's on a roll right now, and he knows exactly his capabilities and those of his car. His crew chief, Dale Armstrong, has it prepared very well. As we watch him, Kenny into the pre-stage light first in the left-hand lane. Then Garth Whittison pre-stages in the right lane. They're both sitting and waiting. Garth coming into the staging. There's Bernstein, and it's a green light for both cars as they streak away from the starting line.
Again, Bernstein was away first, and look at the power on the top end of the quarter mile. It is Bernstein at 6.08, 237 miles an hour. Garth Whittison just didn't have quite enough in this league at 637, 205 miles an hour, but he did qualify, and there's a dozen that can't say that.
That's for sure, and he made it all the way to the second round of the 16-car field here at the Winston World Finals. We're located in Southern California, about 60 miles south of downtown Los Angeles at Orange County International Raceway, and the junction of the freeways, and one of the most popular racetracks in all of the United States, the home of the NHRA Winston World Finals. As we get ready to go into the semifinals, let's go again to Steve with Billy Meyer.
Normally in a semifinal round when you're involved, you don't care about the other run particularly. You're just concentrating on your own. Here, both of them are almost equally important to you.
Very much so, because Tripp's doing an excellent job, and I would like to see it for Hal and for 7-Eleven, and for me and my banker and everybody, us both in the final.
Well, I'm sure Billy Meyer would love to see that, but this is one man he doesn't want to see in the finals, and that is Frank Hawley. Here is Tripp Shoemake, the Team B car. They actually call them the A team and the B team, Steve.
Oh, that's right. Billy calls this as the Team B, but they have flown in mechanics from all over the country. Grover Rogers from Texas, Johnny Couch from California, to put together a nucleus with which to get this car ready. Now, here in the tower lane, only one man really works on the car as far as tuning it, and that is the owner, Austin Coyle, we just saw backing up the car. Tripp Shoemake for Billy Meyer. Johnny Couch lining up. Tripp Shoemake. It says Billy Meyer. Don't believe it. It's Shoemake. Here in the near lane, the Bucks Down Chi-Town Hustler, the most amazing story of this 1982 Winston season.
Can he make it pay off all the effort and all the money that Billy Meyer has spent to get Tripp Shoemake into a blocking position? This is the car he has got to block, and Tripp Shoemake is pulling away in the middle of the course, and Tripp Shoemake defeats the points leader in the Winston World Championship points chase. Tripp Shoemake, 6.03. Frank Hawley, a 6.18.
Now it is Tripp Shoemake leaving first by about 2/100ths of a second, and he never looked back. I believe the Chi-Town crew were running a little conservative, didn't want to take a chance of smoking the tires, maybe beat themselves.
Out of the car comes Trip Shoemake. He is in the finals. He goes over to shake the hand of Frank Hawley, and Billy Meyer is sitting back waiting. He knows that he's got the shot headed now because Trip Shoemake has done exactly what he was hired to do, driving that Ford EXP-bodied car to victory over Frank Hawley.
Now it's nervous time for Frank Hawley. Even though he's out of competition, he may still have that world championship. If indeed Billy Meyer can be defeated in this round. If Meyer wins here and wins the race, he could mathematically pick the pocket of Frank Hawley and the popular Chi-Town gang. Kenny Bernstein here in the near lane, a fellow Texan, but right now he'll show no quarter whatsoever. Bernstein, who won, as I mentioned earlier, the Golden Gate Nationals a couple of weeks ago, finished number 3 in the world last year. This is going to be a Texas shootout.
It sure is, and Billy Meyer is coming hot off of that big win at the U.S. Nationals, the most prestigious of them all. Certainly the quickest funny car race and qualifying session ever in the history of drag racing. For Bernstein and Meyer, they've chased the whole year. Here's Frank Hawley. Look at him. He can't even stand to watch what's going on up on the starting line, but he's got to turn around and come back, Steve.
Hawley's at the end of the racetrack waiting for the winner, and he hopes that it is not this car, that it's this car, Kenny Bernstein of the Budweiser King. If Bernstein can win here, Frank Hawley will officially fulfill his dream of being the Winston Funny Car World Champion.
A great start for both drivers. From this vantage point, it looks like Bernstein, but here comes the Firebird, and who won it? It's hard to say. Oh, the joy on the crew of Frank Hawley tells you Kenny Bernstein was the winner. Steve, they're a happy bunch.
Austin Coyle, his Lady Barbara, Frank Hawley and the crew. A 5-year-old race car. Frank Hawley, the crew of the Chi-Town car, going over to congratulate Kenny Bernstein. 2 weeks ago, at the Golden Gate Nationals, it was Bernstein that defeated Frank Hawley with a hole shot. He wasn't congratulating him then. A wonderful moment for the Chi-Town crew.
An incredibly close race from start to finish. Identical elapsed times, 6.02 seconds. Identical top speeds, 244.54 miles an hour. And at the finish line, it was just a matter of inches as Kenny Bernstein won it. Steve had a chance to ask Kenny how close it really was.
It's the closest race I've ever had in my life, Steve. I really thought he won. I honestly did. And I never felt that before.
You left first, again, as you did on Hawley 2 weeks ago.
Well, I'm taking the right vitamins, I guess.
Well, the right vitamins are sure paying off for Kenny Bernstein today. He is in the finals against Trip Shoemake in the team car of Billy Meyer. And some tremendously close racing has marked this funny cars show. And Trip Shoemake has been one of the real stories. A couple of weeks ago, he was in retirement. Steve talked with his wife, Susie.
Well, we just gave up on drag racing. You know, we quit. He'd quit in June. We bought 3-wheel motorcycles. We were out camping during Labor Day weekend. I mean, we're just having a ball. And when Billy Meyer called that morning, we just, that's the best kind of surprises. It's kind of like Christmas morning for us, And this last night was like Christmas Eve for us. You never know what to expect.
We don't know what to expect either as all the work is done. Kenny Bernstein backing into his own tracks. Trip Shoemake in the team car of Billy Meyer alongside of him in the far lane. Bernstein aiming for his second consecutive win. Earlier, he had some problems back in the pits, and Steve was there.
I was there, David. An alert crewman found a burned crankshaft in the engine, rendering that engine useless. They have now plugged in a spare power plant. They at least had a chance to warm the engine up before bringing it to the line, but it is still going to be an unknown quantity going into this final.
We talked about the amount of work that goes on, and there's a perfect example. They had the car running, they changed engines, and still made it to the finals against Trip Shoemake in the Ford EXP of Billy Meyer. Kenny Bernstein will be in the near lane.
Trip Shoemake in the far lane. He has one national event win to his credit. Bernstein has won 2 over his years of drag racing.
The LN7 of Kenny Bernstein with a close win in the previous round, and he's falling behind here as it is Trip Shoemake pulling ahead, and what a storybook finish it is. Trip Shoemake wins it.
He wins it wire to wire. His crew has gone nuts. It's the Team B car collecting the honors. Susie Shoemake, what a smile. Maybe a tear or two to go along with it. It's Trip Shoemake at 586, 243 miles an hour, as Bernstein's spare engine, well, they just didn't have a time to sort it out. The clutch was maybe a little off in the car, and we get another look at it.
As you can see, Trip Shoemake And no problem, because as he left the starting line, Kenny Bernstein started falling behind. And at the finish line, Trip Shoemake coming out of the car, and what a joyous reaction from a driver that 2 or 3 weeks ago, I am certain, would have thought, I'll never see this day come, as here he is, the event titleist at the NHRA Winston World Finals out of Phoenix, Arizona, Trip Shoemake. From Orange County International Raceway, this is Dave McClellan for Steve Evans saying so long for now.